Good afternoon, cult members, and welcome to the Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
And welcome, Whovians, to our instantly after the episode, 12 hours late, reaction and review of Season 2, Episode 7, The Wish World.
Yep.
This actually came out on May 24th, 2025, which is the date that they've been teasing us the entire season because we blew up reality.
Somebody did.
Somebody did. I want to talk about the Ronnie to start off with. This, by the way, spoilers. If you're just now getting to one of these reviews, there's a whole bunch of them. Spoilers. Let's talk about the Ronnie. We just watched Doctor Who Unleashed. Actually, I called it John Smith Unleashed.
Right.
Because it was mostly John Smith in this episode.
And they didn't bring up the fact that Tennant was John Smith in.
I think it's just a generic. John Smith is just the. I wanted him when Matt Smith was actually on the show to have him called Matt Smith instead of John Smith. But yes, they should have yeah. There has to be a joke in there somewhere about.
He's always John Smith when he's not the Doctor.
Yeah. The Ronnie is, they introduced last week with the bi-generation with Mrs. Flood, who is a Ronnie, and then we have the Ronnie.
Right.
And they've made a point of saying that. The Ronnie is, we talked about this last week, a character that happened
In Classic Who.
In Classic Who.
Yeah.
And a couple of different places. But Davies had kind of been playing with the idea of having the Ronnie show up, and then when Ncuti got hired, he said he wanted to go against the Ronnie.
Yep.
Makes things a whole lot easier when your lead actor says, this is the bad guy I want to go against.
Yep.
I bring that all up because she loves to run experiments, like really crappy experiments. And I think this episode, although she's trying to break reality and destroy the Earth to get to the underworld, I guess, is a giant experiment of what happens if those who currently want to have only one view of the world win.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Because they use the Wish Baby, the seventh son of the seventh son of the seventh son, is this wish-granting baby, and you kiss it, and you get to do all kinds of fun things with it.
Right.
And they give it to Conrad, the young white male, who wants to make a perfect society without anybody who is different.
Yeah, I mean, that's not how they explain it in the show, but, I mean, I see how you could extrapolate that.
Right.
Because in the show, they talk about, like, the reason why everything is kind of generic or very, there's a mother and a father or a husband and a wife and a baby, and is because it doesn't take a lot of brain power for him to. It's like Wanda and the Hex, right. You're, constantly having to create or keep this world going in your mind. And he even talks about, I forgot to talk about the weather, and Africa had a flood, right? So he is in charge of basically everything happening. So the more generic or simpler he makes it, the easier. And then the handy, capable people who were in the encampment, the woman who is actually part of UNIT in normal reality, says he doesn't, Conrad, right? Not Connor. Conrad doesn't see us. And so, and just like Ruby, she's a single woman.
Right.
So, and Mel, she's a single woman. So he just doesn't see them normally. So as far as he's concerned, they don't exist. So they're just kind of out there like freeballing it because in his mind they don't exist, so they have no place to live. Although Mel has a place to live, which was interesting. But Ruby doesn't appear to have a place to live.
Right,
She's
right.
just kind of roaming around the street. And then all these other people are in like a tent city, which
That's why I brought it up, because it felt at times with Doctor Who, especially with Russell, he has some underlying conversations going on.
Yeah, yeah.
And this one very much felt like the underlying, like the perceived perfect the perfect world that is.
Yeah.
It's always set in the 50s.
Yeah.
Husband goes to work, wife stays home, raises the kids. Like, there's always this perfect ideal of what living is. I want to say the United States, but it was like this in the UK. It was like this in a lot of other places.
Yeah,
And
people are always like pining for the good old days
Right.
when this is how it was, except they don't remember that, like, when he says, "Oh, you beautiful man," to the guy who is still trying to flirt with Kate, and he gets he's like, "Oh my gosh, you can't think that a man is beautiful. That's for a woman."
Yeah, I love that.
So, it's you think that the good old days are
Right.
good,
Right.
but they actually aren't that great.
In the big exposition dump that they did, in where they even pointed out, this is not an exposition dump, this is just
Right.
like
The Ronnie actually says, and to wrap up this exposition dump or whatever, it was like,
but the whole idea was to create doubt instead of trying to build this utopian perfect society in Conrad's head, or using what's in Conrad's head to create this reality, this wish world. Roll credits. The idea was to create doubt, because doubt is the most powerful thing when you start to question your reality, and more specifically, a Time Lord, i.e., the Doctor. When he starts to doubt everything, it's like he supercharges this
her ship, her building, her
everything,
whatever it is,
to
her laboratory,
to destroy the reality that has been created, and then turn around and go after the one who was lost, Omega. Not Omega from Star Wars. That's a different Omega. She's blonde. But her trying to destroy this reality is going to explode the actual Earth, because just everything is so molded together, or one reality is trying to get into the other, and the underworld is trying to come in. And this is one of those times where I wish they would have done the 2-part finale together, because I think they set up a bunch of really cool stuff with the cliffhanger of the Doctor falling to his death. And then if we got into the next episode right now, we could have some actual conversation about why they are doing all these things to have the reality shift. No, we have a week of like, oh my God, what's going to happen?
oh no.
Right. I'm such a child sometimes. I wanted all the shiny things right now.
And then you're sad when you don't have any new shiny things to look forward to.
Yeah. After next week, all of our shows that we've been watching for the last 3 months is done, including this one. I have questions about where we're actually trying to go with Omega.
See, and be nice.
Uh-huh.
I vaguely remember, I think it was 3 talking about Omega. Maybe it was, we need to go back and do some, because I'm thinking that it's also a classic Doctor Who thing. So we'll have to go back and do some, it sounds, or maybe I'm just thinking of the Star Wars one, but it sounds Omega Doctor Who.
This is what happens. Also known as the Engineer. Make this not work.
So, I mean, maybe this is the catalyst for all the
Yeah. Yeah.
the maestro and
Yeah. He is the only person. This is from TARDIS Wikipedia.
fandom. Yeah,
He is the only member ever to live within the antimatter universe, which is
which he subsequently
so he ruled over while he used his will to enable him to construct a landscape with the permission of the anti.
that's
okay.
the longest
Right.
run-on sentence ever.
Omega is one of the most significant figures in Gallifreyan history. He appeared in the Ro text. I think that's their like Bible, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, we'll have to go see if we can find the episodes that he shows up in.
But they've been doing this the whole time with this idea of bringing in old classic Doctor Who villains instead of giving us the Master again or the Daleks again or the
Right.
And which I love all of those characters, but we've kind of cycled through everything you can really do with them
multiple times.
And so having the Ronnie, having Omega,
Yes.
having Shutek, like having all of them come back around is really cool. I bring up all that questioning about Omega being, because they say the first Time Lord. I question because Timeless Child wasn't retconned. They've talked about the Timeless Child, and the Timeless Child was done during Jodie's time, during 13th Doctors, and they explained that the Doctor themselves was found floating in space by this woman, and they were able to regenerate into new versions of themselves.
Right.
And then that was the kind of the first Gallifreyan. She was a scientist, the one who found her, and was able to give Time Lord energy.
Right. Ultimately, our Doctor Who, is in the Timeless Child is the original Time Lord.
Right.
So yes, there are questions.
And I trust that they are to make it make sense. Like I trust that I'm not going to be on here. I'm like, oh my god, they've ruined Doctor Who because they got rid of this thing. And Russell has talked about how they weren't going to retcon the Timeless Child stuff. They've made a point of mentioning the Timeless Child, bringing all the Timeless Child kind of questions into everybody's head, both in the show and for us as the fans.
Yeah.
And so there's definitely something there, but it gives me pause. Although I'm not a super canon person when it comes to Doctor Who, like because it's a big ball of timey-wimey.
You can't. you cannot. Because all they got to do is go time travel.
Time travel. It's non-linear, non-sequential.
Big ball of
wibbly wobbly.
wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
You said that one got out of your got away from you. The idea of the Ronnies collapsing Earth, the Wish World version of Earth.
Yeah.
And them showing everyone else being sucked in, including Belinda, Ruby's parents or mom and grandmother, and like they made a point of showing everyone except for whoever was in the Bone Palace.
Right.
And then the Doctor falling.
Right.
Now, the Doctor's fallen from major heights before.
And he's not falling to ground because the ground's not there anymore.
That's true.
So he's falling into whatever is eating whatever the ground is imploding into, right?
Yeah.
It's all imploding into some other dimension, the underworld, whatever. I guess
the Ronnie made a point of they had to get the Doctor to a certain point of doubt to kind of open up the portals between the two worlds, and then she threw him into the portal.
Right.
So what's a Time Lord going into a portal into another dimension? What is that going to do to everything? I have tons of questions. There was some really poopy rumors online that this is where Ncuti leaves the show and we're going to get a new doctor. I don't think any of that's real. It's not from any kind of credible source. But we talked about this a little bit last week. There hasn't been a thing of, season 3's been greenlit, or they're filming it right now, or like they did with the first 2 seasons. It almost feels like this is a little wish fulfillment from my point of view. See what I did there? It feels like a little bit of they want to tell this complete story all the way through before they actually announce anything else, so that nothing gets out.
Right.
Does that make sense?
And it would. I mean, we're really enjoying Ncuti as the Doctor, and I would love him to stay on for more than the standard, 3 years,
Yeah, same.
3 seasons. But next season would be the 3rd season.
Yeah.
So, and as much as I wish we didn't, because we started watching the new Who after the fact and kind of all at once. So, and when I was watching Classic Who, I had no idea that the Doctor regenerated the first time.
Yeah.
And it's always just, I like it better when you don't see it coming.
Yeah.
But we always find out that there's a new Doctor, and generally who that person is before we ever see the previous one regenerate. So, and that kind of, I wish, I mean, I know that's a big secret to keep, but it would be.
It's
nice.
BBC has not been good about all of that, but this actually doesn't feel like that. This feels more of the fake outs that we had gotten with Matt Smith, with Capaldi, this feels more like that,
where he has to, like, he starts to regenerate.
Yeah,
but that always kind of spells the end, not immediately.
Yeah,
but if he starts to regenerate, then we have a whole season of him kind of holding it in while he does what he needs to, or she does what they need to do to finish up this phase.
Well,
go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say we need to talk about the baby.
Oh, we'll talk about I was just gonna wrap that up by saying they made a point of showing all of the doctors again.
Yeah.
Including the War Doctor, including the Fugitive Doctor.
Yeah.
Like, they made a point of showing the Doctor faces again.
Yep.
While the Doctor was trying to remember.
Yeah.
Because him and Belinda as the married couple living in this utopian 50s kind of lifestyle.
I mean, fine, but I mean, they even said, they're best friends and it was fine, but still,
it felt weird. Right? Yeah.
And, okay. And as soon as you see the two of them, you're like, why are the two of you in bed together?
Yeah. It's supposed to be. It's very much supposed to be.
Yeah.
But it was still like, I feel itchy. Like, but Poppy is their baby.
Yes.
And Poppy is the commander of the space station and Space Babies. The very first episode with Ncuti and Ruby, Millie Gibson's Ruby, and so and then she showed up in the Barbara Seville episode. So not what it was, but that's where we're going. But Poppy showed up again, and then Poppy showed up here again, and she was the one who kept saying no. Like that child's like 2 and was amazing. Like, But every time they asked her something, she was like, "Oh," she'd be like,
no.
Like,
I mean, Terrible Twos, they say no a lot, but yeah, she would say no, and then the cup would go through the reality
table. Yeah. It's very interesting that they keep bringing, particularly that child as Poppy back.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could get my hair to stay up like that. It's a little long right now. It's just but that poof thing that like I so cute. That baby is so cute. But but them bringing that particular character, not other characters that they've come along. Like there's something else, and even as the Doctor's falling, he says something
to the effect of, but I have a child. Poppy is my child, or is our child, whatever. And
Poppy's
don't
a real child.
our real child,
Something
something
like
like that,
that, yeah.
and then and you don't understand what that means, and then that was kind of the end of the
Yeah, and
episode.
that's to
She's got something to do with something.
yeah, and but it also connects to Susan, who we got last week, who is
Right,
the doctor's
we saw
grandchild
Susan's face for a second
in this episode.
in the
Yeah.
on the screen.
Oh,
So
we got Jonathan Graff
yeah, for a second
for-
too. Yeah,
to tell the doctor tables don't do that,
Yes.
and he's in purgatory.
yeah.
Hell, I can't.
Because he said, I'm in purgatory" or something like that. Never thought this is where I'd end up or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that's where
Where-
they all fall into.
I love the inclusion of him, because that episode is one of my favorite episodes they've done with Njuti. Is that
And then he ends the transmission with "I love you." You're like, oh,
oh yeah. I want Njuti and Jonathan Groff, and they go to a bar at the end of the universe, and frickin' Captain Jack is sitting there with Alonzo. There's a deep cut.
yeah.
And have that little four-way conversation. But in having Rogue, who is Jonathan Groff's character, having Rogue randomly show up as here to be the voice of reason, the voice of, hey, this isn't your reality.
Yeah, wake up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is such a great choice, because that episode feels like the Madame Pompadour episode with Tennant.
Yeah.
Or the Kylie Minogue Christmas
Yeah.
episode, the one-off, fun, known actor cameo,
Yeah.
one-off episode.
Yeah.
And then having him show back up to remind us all that the doctor actually had a romantic connection with someone, and that romantic connection is now bringing him back to his reality.
Yeah.
Is such a great choice. They've done that a bunch this season, where they reminded you with something, not a big, like, shiny, like, look, we're reminding you of this thing. It's a
Yeah.
line of dialogue. We kept talking about how every once in a while they would mention Susan, and then all of a sudden Susan shows up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like little, almost subliminal kind of throwaway lines or throwaway scene, like a glimpse.
Yeah.
That you're like, and then you kind of go on with the episode and forget about it, but it's still back there.
Yeah,
and then whatever will happen later that you'll be like, oh yeah, we kept hearing about that or seeing them.
Yeah. We just watched the Doctor Who Unleashed, the John Smith Unleashed. They talked about the set design, like how they did a bunch of set design stuff. The special effects of the bone animals walking through London and the Bone Palace. All of that looks great.
They worked with ducks, an owl, a horse, and 7 small children.
Yeah.
No.
and an actual baby. Actually,
And an actual baby.
That was all the that was just one scene.
Yeah. In that one scene.
And Poppy, who's what, 2.5 or whatever.
But the actual baby, the Wish baby, he is adorable.
With those blue eyes. Oh my god. I have really good blue eyes, but like, goddamn, child. But the Unleashed does a really good job. If you're a Doctor Who fan, you're really loving what's going on. Go watch them. They're on YouTube for free.
Yeah.
But they're doing these really kind of fun, like, showing you how the show's being done, but also kind of having some fun with other people on set. And this one was the assistant to the script supervisor. Like, they had
The trainee
assistant.
to the script supervisor.
Longest title ever, but she did not have the trainee vest on. I was very upset. But
And I learned today that I would like to be a script supervisor.
yeah,
please.
you would be perfect as a script supervisor. But them kind of like just going through all that stuff shows like the detail that they're actually putting into the show. And sometimes when they do a show, they don't do these kind of after show things. A lot of people are like, oh, they're being lazy, or they didn't do this right, or they didn't do it the way I like it, so they're poor writing or whatever. And they're spending time with each episode, sitting down with Russell, why they wanted to tell this story. Here's how they're making it, and like they're going to a different department every time. They had a accessibility coordinator for the camp.
Yes.
For everybody that we have with disabilities that were actually part of that one scene. And so that was a lot of fun. And they spent time talking about how they've been able to build these awesome sets and have like Broadway, West End dance choreographers. I got all the right letters on there, but in the wrong order. Coming in and helping them with dance routines and what the dialogue that Archie had to do while dancing with
and
the
platform boots.
It watching that has really helped me enhance what I already had in the back of my mind, that they are doing some awesome stuff with this season.
Yeah. And it's cool. Sometimes those behind the scenes things almost feels like the person that's there that's doing it is like, it's like okay, you're required to be there, and and we're like, yay, but I don't really know who you are.
Right.
Yay, it's you, guy, who's gonna do this documentary. But this guy, like, everybody knows him.
Yeah.
They have a history with him.
Yeah. Well, there's a second season they're doing it with him too, so that helps a little bit.
Yeah, but I feel, it just felt like they've all known each other, and he's been in the biz or whatever a little longer.
Yeah.
So it's not like the guy that's kind of forced to be there. He does some of the jobs sometimes, and so
he jumps in and like tries to learn what's going on, which is one of the things that I really appreciate about what he's doing. Is he's trying to tell us what's going on, he's also trying to learn what's going on. I actually want that job. That's the job, to be the behind the scenes having fun, running around talking to everybody.
All right. I'll yell at everybody.
Is there anything else you want to talk about with this episode?
Nope, I think that's it.
I do want to say, this is a long tradition with me and Doctor Who. When I see the 3 words "to be continued," I want to throw something at the TV. I love 2-parters. I really do love 2-parters. But my initial reaction every time is, God damn it.
Hey, at least it's next week and not next season.
Next
like
season.
they, used to do all the time on episodic television.
Matt Smith. There was the question of Matt Smith was going to come back. Was it Matt Smith, or was it Tennant? It might have been Tennant. And there was this big, huge cliffhanger, and then they're like, "See you at Christmas in 10 months," and it's like, you mother. And yet here we are, still yelling at our TV.
Yep.
So that's everything we have to say about this episode, I guess. I'm sure we'll think of something as soon as we stop recording. Let us know what you thought of this episode in the comments down below. If you're on the Spotify side, follow us here, share with your friends. If you're on the YouTube side, again, subscribe to the channel, share with your friends, and you can hit the bell for notifications because we're doing movie reviews and trailer reactions on the YouTube side. We just did Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. I'll put that at the end. And then we're on also social media stuff, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, TikTok, and we're on the Geekiary. I'm writing for the Geekiary. I've been trying to burp for 20 minutes. All those links are in the description down below. It's like right there, and my voice sounds weird. Until next time, cult members and Whovians, good afternoon, good evening, good night now.